infinite value of what we've been given and trying to really understand that. Devotees have inclinations sometimes, explore this, explore that. But what Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada wanted us to do is to deeply understand what we've already been given. And if we understand that, if we can connect to that, we will find everything included. When we have a humble heart and we surrender to this path of pure devotional service, Krishna reveals. Yesterday we were discussing Krishna's pastimes in Mahavan, and some of the beautiful stories or leelas from Lord Chaitanya's pastimes that we were remembering in relationship with. In Gokul, Gargamuni came and performed the name-giving ceremony for Krishna and Balaram. In Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, that same Gargamuni incarnated as Nilambar Chakravarti. And he performed the name-giving ceremony for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Krishna was hardly 1 year old, Kamsa was really frustrated. Srila Prabhupada gives an example of how the tiger is the most ferocious, undefeatable animal in the forest. But yet a little bird, about this big, flies and jumps on the back of the tiger. Because tigers can't reach their backs. They have these massive teeth and massive claws and massive muscular bodies, but they can't reach their back. And this little tiny bird just gets on his back. And wherever the tiger goes, the bird is, in his bird voice, calling out, "The tiger's coming." So all the animals, they know the tiger's coming, and they all run away before the tiger can get close to them. So the tiger's starving. He can't find anything to conquer, anything to eat, because this little bird's on his back. He could swallow that bird in a second if he only had the chance. So this is the nature of material life. However wealthy, however intelligent, however powerful, there's always some things and someone. Maya always has a way to make us suffer. So Kamsa, he wanted to find happiness by conquering. He put his own father, Ugrasena, in prison. He put his own sister and brother-in-law, Vasudeva and Devaki, in prison. He conquered all the kingdoms in the area, and he made allies with all the demoniac kings throughout the world. Such power. But there was this little baby, Krishna. He kept sending demon after demon. Sakatasura, Putana. And then he sent Trinavarta. Trinavarta was a mystic yogi, and he came in the form of a whirlwind. He came into Vrindavan ferociously, a wind roaring, and it created total pitch darkness. Actually, Yashoda, Krishna's mother, she was holding Krishna. And just before Trinavarta entered Vrindavan, Krishna knew he was coming. He's just a little child in the arms of his mother. And he was really light. She could just carry him all day. But he understood that this Asura was coming. So he assumed an enormously heavy weight. And Yashoda Mai was really astonished. How is it that my son is so heavy? It describes he became as heavy as the Earth planet. So she couldn't hold him anymore. So she put him down and went to perform her chores. And suddenly, while she was separated from her little Gopal, dust filled the air so you could not even see inches in front of you. And then pitch darkness. And the wind was roaring and twirling. Everyone in Vrindavan was completely engulfed in darkness and dust. And the wind was so strong. It seemed like it was going to destroy everything. But Yashoda Mai, she wasn't thinking about her house. She was thinking of Gopal. My little baby, where is he? She was running frantically in every direction trying to find him. But she couldn't find him. Krishna orchestrated for her to be in such anxiety. If you ever experienced anxiety, multiply it by trillions of times, and you'll get a hint of Yashoda Mai's anxiety. Because what are we in anxiety about? But she loves Krishna with all her heart and soul. She knows nothing in life except her love for Krishna. And Krishna's her child. He's helpless. He's totally dependent upon her. He's vulnerable. His limbs are so tiny and so soft. And here is this massive wind coming. And she can't find him. But this is an anxiety of prema, of love. And therefore, it is actually the deepest ecstasy. She's feeling separation from Krishna. And that love and separation it is the highest satisfaction of the soul. It's dynamic. It has nothing to do with the anxieties of this world. The anxieties of this world are simply anxiety. But in devotional service, they bring Krishna deeper into our hearts. Because the anxiety is for his pleasure, for his happiness. It is described that Yashoda Mai She was in so much motherly grief that she collapsed to the ground. And the example Shukadev Goswami uses is so appropriate. Just like a cow that has lost her calf. The nature of the love of a cow and a calf is something so pure and beautiful and sacred. All over the world today, so much slaughter, so much torture between the mother and the calf. Krishna, he was given the name Gopal because his primary pastime was to reciprocate love by protecting the cows and the bulls and the calves. So Yashoda Maya's little calf, Krishna, she couldn't find him. And then finally, Trinavarta picked up Krishna and took him higher and higher and higher in the sky. And he was way up high. Nobody could see. Then the darkness and the dust disappeared, and Krishna was nowhere to be found. Yashoda Mai, the gopis, the gopas, they were searching everywhere for Krishna. He's nowhere. And Krishna's with Trinavarta. And Krishna, he became very heavy for his mother, but he became totally light for Trinavarta. He was really happy. Children like to take rides. Yes, they like to ride on bicycles, like to go on roller coasters, like to be put on their shoulders. I have seen some of my godbrothers and godsisters, they have little children and they throw them in the air. And I think, God, I hope it looks scary. And the child is just laughing and laughing and laughing. And I was a brahmachari watching this, I remember. In front of the deities, one of my godbrothers would throw his little daughter really high in the air, and she would just be smiling, and she was at her happiest moment when she was way up there, looking down at her father. If she fell to the ground, she would break all her limbs. She wasn't scared because she had a total, innocent, childlike faith that her father is going to catch her. If he missed her, she would probably die or break her skull and everything else. And brahmacharis think like that. If he doesn't catch her, she's going to break her legs and break her skull. She'll be a puddle of blood laying on this marble floor in front of the deities. And he would throw her up, and I would be in fear watching this. And she would be just laughing, just laughing and smiling because she had faith in her father's protection. Bhajahure manasri nandanandana abhaya charanadavindare. Well, we actually, by hearing about Krishna, by associating with people who have faith in Krishna, by connecting to Krishna through chanting his name with humility and sincerity, we understand that Krishna will always be there for us. And then we become fearless. It's a childlike, innocent, natural fearlessness. Aghasura, he was a snake that was 8 miles long. Now I've seen some of even our renounced brahmacharis. They see a little snake this big and they definitely feel some fear. The Aghasura, he was, from his intestines, there was a horrible smell coming out because of all the different people he already ate. So he was ferocious. But the cowherd boys, they just looked at Krishna and smiled and danced right into his mouth, Aghasura's mouth. And even the calves were smiling and dancing into the mouth of Aghasura. Because they just had, Krishna will protect us. Of course, God helps them who help themselves, so we have to help ourselves. But ultimately, we do our part and we leave the rest to Krishna. So Krishna was enjoying taking a ride higher and higher. And according to our acharyas, he wanted to give darshan to the residents of the heavenly planets. So he actually inspired Trinavarta to take him that high into the sky. And Trinavarta, his only purpose was to murder little Gopal. And Gopal knew that. So he started increasing his bodily weight until he became so heavy that Trinavarta couldn't hold him any longer. He wanted to kill this little child. He couldn't go any higher. So he wanted to throw little Gopal down to the ground. But Gopal, with his tiny little arm, he didn't expand himself to be big. He was just little. Trinavarta was huge. He put his arm around Trinavarta's neck and squeezed. And this whirlwind Asura, with all of his might, was trying to tear Krishna away from him. But Krishna just squeezed harder. And ultimately he was choking, and his eyes started popping out. And he lost all of his strength and came down. Crashed onto the ground. The holy ground of Vrindavan. And all his limbs were scattered in all directions, and his bones were disjointed. And the Brijabasis heard this massive sound of his body collapsing. Trinavarta was liberated, which is a spiritual way of saying he was dead. But when Krishna kills, he liberates. That is his great mercy. And meanwhile, Yashoda Mai, when she heard that crashing sound on the ground, she was even more worried about Krishna. What is that? Where is Gopal? And all the Brijabasis were searching. Where is Krishna? He Radhe Brajate Vake Chalalite He Nanda Suno. The 6 Goswamis, when they were living in Vrindavan, they were always wandering from place to place. Where is Radharani? Where is Krishna, the son of Nanda? This yearning for Krishna, this longing for Krishna, this lolyam is the greatest gift that we should cultivate. The Brijabasis, they saw Krishna playing very blissfully, smiling. He hardly even knew how to crawl at this time. But he was just blissfully smiling on the body of Trinavarta. And they went and picked him up and brought him to Yashoda Mai. And she embraced him and nourished him with her own milk. And her and the other Brijabasis, they performed so many wonderful little pujas to Lord Narayan to protect Krishna. I'm remembering a story from Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu's Leela. When Nimai was just a little child, very small, he was just walking. He was playing in the front courtyard of the house of Sachi and Jagannath Mishra. And 2 demoniac thieves, they happened to see him. Here's this little Nimai. He's such a fragile little babe, little child, just learning to walk. And he had nice ornaments on him that his mother would put on. And the thieves, they were saying, what a fortunate, auspicious day this is for us. An helpless little child with precious ornaments. Let us kidnap him and rob him. So there were people around. So they were very, very intelligent. They went up to little Nimai and said, oh, child, it looks like you're trying to find your way home. We will take you home. We will take you home. And they picked up Nimai and put on their shoulders and started walking really fast. And they had sandesh. And they kept giving Nimai sandesh. And he was on their back, he was on their shoulders, taking a ride. And they were going deeper and deeper, different places, and they kept giving him sweets, and he was just smiling and laughing and eating the sweets. Their motive was to take him a distance away to their secret headquarters, where they would take him down and rob him. And they went a long distance. And sometimes they were going through people, and they wanted to look really innocent. So as people were passing by, they would say, we're taking you home, child. Here, eat some sweets. And Nimai would just be eating sweets and laughing. He was so happy. He was taking a ride. And ultimately, they came. Well, what happened is this. Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi and their relatives and their friends and their neighbors, they come to the courtyard and they cannot find Nimai. He's gone. They're searching all 8 directions. They're asking everyone. He's gone. The same love of Nanda and Yashoda was there for Jagannath Mishra and Sachi. Their prananath, the Lord of their heart, the Lord of their life, was gone. We cannot calculate the amount of loving, ecstatic grief they were in, how they worried. They felt so helpless. Wherever they searched, they couldn't find him. There was no clue. They didn't even know where else to search. They were all just sitting with their heads down, crying, weeping, worrying. And Nimai was so expertly bringing these emotions out of them. And by his own divine potency, the thieves who had wicked intentions, they thought they were at their headquarters, their hideout. And they said, "Oh child, now you can get down. We have reached our place." But little did they know that Nimai brought them right to the front of his house. And as soon as they put him down, Nimai ran across the courtyard and jumped right in the lap of Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi. And after Vipralamba Sambhog is very sweet, after this separation, the ultimate celebration of love was Nimai is here. And they were checking his limbs to make sure he was nice and happy, and he was smiling, and he was embracing them, and they were embracing him. And they asked, "What happened? What happened?" Meanwhile, when the thieves saw Nimai's parents, "Let's get out of here." So they ran they kind of disguised themselves and ran as fast as they could to escape. And they asked, "Nimai, what happened?" He said, "I got lost, and two really nice men, they were so kind that they picked me up and they brought me home." They said, "Well, we should reward these people. They brought you home, and they got nice gifts of turbans and other things, but they couldn't find them anywhere." Vrindavan Das Thakur explains how fortunate those thieves were. We, in order to make an offering of bhoga to Krishna, to Lord Chaitanya, we take our baths, we get Brahman initiation. We have mantras and yantras and tantras, mujas and pujas. So many in order to please the Lord. We should follow very carefully. But these thieves, they didn't take baths. They didn't do any mantras or tantras or yantras or mudras or pujas. They were just giving him sandesh. And he was eating it. And he was enjoying it. He allowed them to render loving devotional service, even though they didn't know it. He accepted it. And not only that, Samsiddhir Haritoshanam, he made them so happy. He made Nimai so happy by giving him a ride all over Navadvip. So they attained the perfection of life. Krishna and Balaram, when they started to crawl, it was so enchanting to the hearts of the Brijabasis. Rohini Devi, the mother of Balaram and Yashoda Mai, would decorate their children with sandalwood, chandan, and saffron. And they would put nice little ornaments, and they would put bells. And the children, they would crawl in the cow dung that was mixed with cow urine and mud. That was their favorite ornament. They would crawl in it, and their bodies would be smeared with the dung and the urine and the cows and the dust of Vrindavan. And they were so happy. And Yashoda and Rohini were so happy to see this. They would pick up their little children and embrace them and feed them. Sometimes when Krishna and Balaram were crawling, they would hear ankle bells, because both of their mothers wore ankle bells. And they would see the feet and the legs of some gopis, our mothers. And they would crawl and crawl and crawl and crawl to follow the sound of those ankle bells and reach their mothers. And then when they reached them, they looked up, and it was two other gopis. So they would become afraid, and they would crawl back looking for Mother Yashoda and Mother Rohini, and they would be watching and lift their children. And as they opened their mouths to feed them milk, they would see little tiny white teeth starting to grow. And it would give them such happiness. Srimad Bhagavatam explains how they would be talking to each other about the little teeth. And they would count how many teeth were in the mouth of each child, just coming out of their mouths. Sometimes the children, they'd crawl and they'd see a little calf laying down and pull the tail of the calf. And the calf would become very excited and jump up and start running, and they would hold on to the calf's tail. They were afraid to let go, and they were very happy. And the calf would be running and running, and they'd be dragged through the urine and the dung and the dirt, and all the gopis would be watching. And such joy, watching the beautiful childhood pastimes of Krishna and Balaram. Then they learned how to walk. It is explained that Yashoda Maya and Nanda Maharaj, they would hold a finger out, and Krishna would hold on to the finger as they were teaching him to walk. And sometimes he would fall down. And they would encourage him, please try again, try again. Krishna would get up. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells he's the ability of all men and all women. He's the supreme power of all powers. But in Vrindavan, under the control of the love of his parents, Vatsalya Ras, he's learning to walk. And he's not just pretending. He's actually learning to walk. Just to give pleasure to his parents and to feel the intimate, infinite pleasure of their love for him. One time, Balaram and the Gopas approached Yashoda Mai, and they said, on the bank of Yamuna, we saw Krishna secretly eating dirt. Now for a mother, this is a very serious matter. So Yashoda Mai was very disturbed. Krishna, you'll get sick if you eat dirt. Why did you eat dirt? I'm giving you so many sweets and so much nice prasad. Why are you eating dirt? Krishna said, I didn't eat dirt. She said, but your friends are telling me you did eat dirt. He said, that's because they were stealing butter from some gopis' houses, and I told them, you shouldn't be doing this. and thinking that I would tell on them, they're making up this story to get me in trouble. Yashoda Mai, she said, but even Balaram, your own brother, is telling me that you ate dirt. He said, it is not true. If you don't believe me, look in my mouth. But he did eat dirt. So, from a philosophical perspective, how could the absolute truth tell a lie? The absolute truth does not lie. Because in Vrindavan, everything is based on love. You see, in this material world, what we call a lie is when we're trying to protect ourselves from something we did, or protect others, or we're just ashamed to admit certain things. But whatever Krishna speaks in Vrindavan, it's only to increase the love of his devotees. It's only to reciprocate with the love of his devotees. So Yashoda Mai said, yes, open your mouth. And there was dirt in his mouth. So Krishna had his own way of distracting her. By his Yogamaya potency, the entire universe entered his mouth. Yashoda Mai looked in his little mouth. It was only a few inches in diameter. But she saw all the oceans, all the mountains, all the forests, all the planets of the entire universe. She saw all the demigods, all the species of life. She saw Gokul in Krishna's mouth. She saw herself looking in Krishna's mouth. And Yashoda Mai, at first she became philosophical. Who is my child? What am I seeing? Garga Muni, during his name-giving ceremony, he told that our child, Krishna, is Narayan. But what does Garga Muni know? When Krishna's hungry, he comes running to me and crying, and he's not satisfied till I feed him my milk. And Krishna steals and he lies. And when thunder is in the sky, Krishna runs to me, and until I embrace him, he doesn't stop trembling. Garga Muni and any sage or rishi could think what they want to think, but Krishna knows and I know that I'm his mother and he's my son. And then she started thinking, maybe he's sick. And she got worried about him, seeing the universe in his mouth. And Krishna smiled. And when Krishna smiled, his beauty, his sweetness, his charm totally melted away the remembrance of everything she had just seen. And with her motherly affection, she embraced him and fed him her own milk. When Nimai was a child, one day when he was playing with his friends, Sachi Devi brought him a beautiful plate of sweets and fused rice, which is very delicious, and which was Nimai's favorite. And then she went to perform some of her duties, and when she came back, she saw that Nimai was eating dirt. And she was told by some of his friends, he's eating dirt. So Nimai had his own way of performing Krishna's Leelas. Sachi Devi was as worried about her little Nimai as Yashoda was for Gopal. Why are you eating dirt? Don't you know that you're going to get really sick? You could die if you eat dirt. Why are you doing this? I've given you such nice, delicious sweetmeats. They're right in front of you, and you're not touching them. You're just eating the dirt from the ground. Why? And Nimai smiled. He said, Mother, what are these sweetmeats? And what is this rice? They're just transformations of dirt. They come from the ground, little seeds. The dirt nourishes them. In fact, my body and your body are just transformations of dirt. So practically everything in this world is a transformation of dirt. So what's the difference if I eat dirt and if I eat sweetmeats? They're the same thing. He was Sachi Mata. She said, where have you heard this impersonal philosophy? He's saying everything's one. She's saying it's true, everything is one. But at the same time, there's variegatedness within that oneness. Yes, rice and sweetmeats are transformations of dirt. But if you eat rice and sweetmeats, you'll become very satisfied and healthy. And if you eat dirt, you will get sick. Similarly, if you want to carry water, if you put it in an earth pot, you can carry the water anywhere you want. But if you put the water on dirt, it'll just become mud. You can't carry it anywhere. She was teaching the principle of achintya bheda bheda tattva, inconceivable oneness and difference. Mamaivam so jiva loke. Qualitatively, we are all one with God, just like a sun ray is one with the sun planet. But quantitatively, we are part and parcel. And the oneness is our nature, Satchidananda, eternal, full of knowledge and bliss, because Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchid Ananda Vigraha. That is his nature. But the variegatedness